Okay, so if any of you already know any technology which, uh, apart from OFDM, which we have been using for signal transmission, starting from 2G, 2.5G, 3G, 4G. 4G, of course, has OFDM or some other technologies, either in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or anything. Okay, then you will have an idea what are the constraints when you pick a technology for signal transmission. Okay, we will we will start with OFDM first. First, we will see what OFDM is. Okay, if you can't see my screen, then please let me know. If it is not visible, if it is too small or too big, please let me know. Okay, so OFDM stands for orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. Multiplexing. Okay, what does orthogonal frequency means? Okay, let's.
Those parallel, parallel streams. Um, I mean, there'll be different frequencies, so those different signals are orthogonal to each other.
Yeah, somewhat correct. Let me elaborate it. So let's say there is a signal. Okay, this T. Okay, and there is another signal. Okay, this has a frequency F1. This has frequency F2. So are both of these orthogonal? So if I draw it, okay, signal S1, okay, sine 2 pi F1t, S2 is sine 2 pi F2t. Okay, so are these signals S1 and S2 are orthogonal over the time 0 to t? Okay, when this question comes that uh, whether two signals are orthogonal or not, how do you check? You integrate them over the given time period. So how do you find the orthogonality? You integrate 0 to t,
Their product.
s1, s2, t. Right? If it is 0, then you say both signals s1 and s2 are orthogonal. Okay, if they are complex signals, you take conjugate. If they Since they are real signals, I did simple multiplication, s1 and s2, dt is equal to 0. So now look at this diagram and tell me whether these two s1 and s2 are orthogonal or not. Without doing the math, can you tell me whether they are orthogonal? You look at the symmetry. It's very easy to find out. You take first half, okay, by 2. Or, okay, since this signal S2, okay, it's, if you multiply this, so if you integrate S2 with over the time 0 to t by 2, you get 0 for S2. Okay, if you multiply this with another signal which is also symmetric for this time, you will still get 0. Okay, so even if you multiply S1, which is symmetric for S2, okay, for both the parts, with left side of t by 4 and right side for t by 4, you will still get 0. Okay, or you can just do the math here and find out that both are orthogonal.
So
Okay,
can you repeat? Can you repeat this part where you've written S2 0 to t by 2 0?
see, S2 is 0 if you integrate from 0 to t by 2, right? This part. Okay.
Okay.
So since this signal S1, okay, it is symmetric across this line, right? So what do I mean is this part you multiply with this one, and this part you multiply with this one. Okay.
Okay.
Since this is symmetric, you will still get 0. I mean, just by the intuition, you can say that, okay, S1 and S2, if you multiply, there will be 0. So if it is like this, or if you take some other signal, let's say like this, still be 0. Okay, or some other symmetric signal, like let's say this, then this. If you multiply, it still will be 0, until unless this is symmetric over this line, because this signal S2 is also symmetric. Okay, so this is the fundamental for the orthogonality, that the parameters are, you pick a time 0 to t can be anything. Okay, and you find out whether the given signal is orthogonal or not. Now if I ask you for the same thing, for the same signal S1 and S2, are they orthogonal from 0 to 3t by 4? Are they orthogonal? Can you look at the diagram and tell me, are they orthogonal for this time?
From 0 to t by 2, it got cancelled, but t by 2 to 3t by 4, that product is not 0.
Not 0, right? So from 0 to 3t by 4, it's not orthogonal. Okay, so let me write it systematically. So we found out even for 0 to t by 2, they're orthogonal. So I will say yes. 0 to t, of course, they were orthogonal. 0 to 3t by 4, they were orthogonal. How about 0 to 2t?
Orthogonal.
Orthogonal.
Yes. Okay, so how about from minus infinity to infinity? Sorry, this was not. This was not. How about if I take the same signals from minus infinity to infinity?
Orthogonal.
They will be orthogonal, right? So what matters? So for two signals to be orthogonal, you also take the time period into consideration. They may not be orthogonal over all the time periods. Okay, like here, 0 to 3t. So basically, these two signals are orthogonal if it is like, I think if it is multiple of t, then of course they are orthogonal. For t by 2 also they are orthogonal. Okay, otherwise they are not. Okay, if you pick any arbitrary time, they are not orthogonal. Okay. Now what is the advantage of transmitting a signal, transmitting signals which are orthogonal to each other? What is the advantage? So, okay, let me put this question this way. How the information transmission basically happens. Okay, I will also consider the time, symbol time of 4G and 5G here. So what exactly we do? We have, okay, we'll start from the bits. so you'll get good intuition. So let's say you have some information generated. If you don't understand anything and if you think I'm going too fast, please let me know. So this is the information generated. It's generated by some app or some application you have in your cell phone or coming from your cell tower. This is the information that you want to transmit. Okay. What do? First, there are so many other modules in between, but we will only talk about just one or two of them. Okay, what you modulate them. Okay, what do you do in the modulation? You convert this bit information to phase and amplitude. The modulation can be of anything. If it is, it could be like BPSK, could be QPSK. Okay, it could be PSK, other PSKs. It could be even 256 QAM. Okay, can be any kind of modulation. So basically, you have some samples A plus iota B in this format. Okay. Now, using these modulated samples, okay, you modulate, okay, now I'm not talking about the RF signals, okay, which basically the carrier signals which we use for the transmission, which are basically in gigahertz. Okay, I'm not talking about the signals. I'm not talking about this up converters, okay, up converter or down converters, where we take a signal which has lower frequency and we modulate a very high frequency signals. Like you might have done some simulations already. So this carrier is basically in the range of gigahertz. It could be 1 gigahertz to some 20-30 gigahertz, or let's say Bluetooth, it's 2.4 gigahertz. And the signal that we use to modulate this is at very low frequency. It could be it could be some kilowatts signal, or it could be in megahertz as well. Okay, so I'm not talking about this modulation here. Okay, that's anyway happen when you transmit a signal, this up conversion. Okay, so before up conversion, okay, we will first do the baseband modulation. Okay, so let's say I pick any type of signal which I want to use to transmit this information. So what I have right now is I had the bits here. I modulated them. Now I want to transmit this. Okay, so let's say I pick, for simplicity, I pick this sine pulse. Okay, when I pick sine pulse, I define some properties that I say that the time period of this sine pulse is t. So when I say time period, I also define the frequency. Okay, so I have picked this, that I want to use this sine pulse to transmit this information. So I will modulate this using this A plus iota B. So what do I modulate? I change the phase and magnitude of this. Okay, that's how I do the modulation. Then what do? I up convert this to a much higher frequency. Okay, so there's a signal at much higher frequency, and then I transmit this. So many other things happens in between, like digital to analog conversion and all. Okay, but we won't talk about all those. Okay, because our main goal is to discuss about OFDM. Okay, so now what happens here? This is a single carrier. This sine pulse is a single carrier. Okay, if you draw the Fourier transform of this, it will look like this. Okay, since I can also pick cos, I can pick sine and cos both. Okay, I can use two. This is sine this, I can pick cos t. Okay. Normally that's how the transmission happens. Okay. And I modulate this sine and cos, okay, with these samples, okay, and then up convert them, and then I transmit. Okay. So if you draw the FFT of the final signal before up conversion, it will look like this. Okay, so F will look like this. Some frequency F to 1 by T. Okay. Now what do you do when you transmit this signal? Okay. You modulate this information over a time 0 to T. You can't modulate signal which is from minus infinity to infinity, okay, because you need to continuously do the transmission of the information. Okay, so normally when you transmit the signals, what do? You take some information A1, I will call it, let's say X1, A1 plus iota B1. You modulate across 0 to T. Then you take another information A2 plus iota B2. You modulate the signal from T to 2T. And that's how you keep modulating the signal, keep transmitting. 2T to 3T, and it goes on. Okay. So these signals, yes.
Those X1, X2 are the different symbols?
Yes, they are different symbols because there are not many bits that you are transmitting here. Okay. So let's say if you use QPSK, okay, where you pick 2 bits, modulate to one symbol, right?
Yes.
Then you pick another 2 bits, you modulate to some other symbol. Okay, so if you have 100 bits, let's say you have 100 bits. Okay, if you use QPSK, you have 50 symbols.
Okay.
Okay, if you have 50 symbols, then you will need this much time to transmit this information, which is 50T. Total transmission time is this much. Okay,
So,
this is the total transmission time. If you use the sine pulse for transmission and QPSK for modulation to transmit 100 bits, okay, now let's say now the signal that you use, the sine pulse, okay, this has frequency, let's say 10 kilohertz. Okay, if it is 10 kilohertz, then the symbol time will be 1 by 10 minus 3, right? So total time will be 50 into 1 by 10 to 10 to the power minus 3. This will be, how much this will be? 5 milliseconds, right? So it will take 5 milliseconds if you use a sine pulse with this frequency and if you are transmitting 100 bits. Okay, very simple calculation. Okay. Now, what you do in the OFDM? Okay.
Sir, just one thing. So whatever waveforms you have given here, this is directly after baseband modulation, or that pulse shaping all is there. No? So,
Yeah, I did not understand your question.
whatever you've drawn here, these waveforms, like each symbol that you want to transmit. So
Yes.
this waveform is at which stage, sir? In the sense, uh, after we do these BPSK or QPSK, and then this pulse shaping and all, you have included, or?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this. I have taken the simple pulse for visualization. Normally, this doesn't happen in the continuous form. Okay. It's in the digital where you have samples. Okay, so normally you have some sampling rate. Okay, and based on the sampling rate, you modulate those samples, and then you convert digital to analog. Then you do up conversion. Then you transmit.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So before we go for picking multiple carriers here, okay, or multiple signals with orthogonal frequencies, let's discuss what is the problem here. And now let me ask you one simple question. If you have a signal like this, okay, minus infinity to infinity, okay, and this is t. Okay, what will be the Fourier transform of this? What will be the Fourier transform of this? Can some of you tell me?
An impulse function, sir.
Shifted delta.
Delta f. Where will be the frequencies?
FC minus FC.
No, what is f here? 1 by t, right?
Yeah. So
F
1
is
by
1 by
T.
t. So let me just put f and f. Okay.
1 by 2 amplitude, 1 by T at 1 by T, and
So
minus
some
1 by
amplitude
2.
here and some amplitude here. I will
Yeah,
just
minus 1 by
call
2.
it, let's say a naught. Okay. Okay. This is the Fourier transform of this signal. Okay. Now, what will be the Fourier transform of this signal? This is still t. What will be the Fourier transform of this? What I have done here, so this was an infinite signal. Okay, but normally we don't have signal with infinite length in time. Okay, when we transmit information, like you have seen previously, we only have a limited time to transmit a particular sample. Okay, then after a time we transmit some other information. Okay, so like in this case we had 0 to t, t to 2t, 2t to 3t. Okay, so of course in this case the Fourier transform won't look like this. It will be something else. How it will look like? How do you calculate?
It would be the convolution of that sine pulse with the rectangular pulse from limited from 0 to t, sir.
Exactly. So this will be the convolution of this. Okay. So in time domain, if it is multiplication, in frequency it will be convolution. Right? That's what you are saying.
Yes.
So it will look something like this. Isn't it? And I think this part will look something like this. Is this correct? So Fourier transform of this rectangular is sinc pulse, okay, and Fourier transform of this is shifted pulse. So sorry, shifted in the frequency. Shifted in means at f1, f.
Sir,
Sorry.
so multiplication of this infinite signal will be there, right? That then only
Yes,
we will
yes.
get.
This will be infinite. Sorry, this will be infinite. So that's how it will look like. Okay. Now, one clear problem that you see here is there is a trade-off here. Since I cannot have a signal which is infinite in time, why I can't have? Because I need to keep transmitting some other information continuously. I can't just transmit one symbol x1 over infinite time. Okay, I transmit x1 only for a certain time, 0 to t here. Then after t, I transmit some other information, x2, x3, x4, like this. So I need to limit my signal, transmitted signal, in the time domain. So, but the problem is when I limit the signal in time domain, in the frequency domain, it extends, right? So it becomes infinite. When I limit it in time, it becomes infinite in frequency, okay, where the magnitude of the carrier goes down with time. So if you see here, it will look like this, or so this magnitude is continuously going down. Okay, after a time, after a certain frequency, it will become negligible. Okay, this is the frequency excess, you remember. Okay, now this trade-off you need to remember. Okay, now let's go over transmitting the information using
Sir.
yes.
So what you made here, this particular signal only the convolution in, sync and the impulse, right? So we
Yes.
will get first signal and the second signal, both are different. I'm not getting which one, sir.
Both are different, right? Because what will be the Fourier transform of this multiplied with this? So
Yes, sir. Sync and
Fourier transform of this is sync pulse at 0,
yes,
right?
sir. Yeah,
And Fourier transform of this is
impulse.
impulse here. Okay, so when you convolve this and this, these two, what do you get? You multiply this, so you multiply this signal with this, then you multiply this with this, and you shift and add, right? That's what you get that's when you get the final signal. Okay, so it will be something like this, roughly, if you can draw in MATLAB and see, okay, where the magnitude is going down with the frequency, and after certain frequency, it becomes negligible.
Okay, sir.
So this is clear with everyone, right? Okay, now let's talk about something else. Now the question comes, why do you use just one certain frequency for transmitting information? Why don't we use multiple such frequencies? Okay, but then the question comes, when you pick the multiple frequencies, that means multiple signals. So why do you use just one signal, sine 2 pi ft? Why don't you use multiple of them, like one at some other frequency, let's say some other frequency, this is cos, and let's say some other frequency? Why don't you use many such signals to transmit the information at the same time? Okay, now the answer is, of course you can use them, okay, but at the receiver, when you receive these signals, you should be able to separate them so that you can find out what the information transmitted. Okay, so let's say you pick these four, S1, S2, S3, and S4, and you transmit information X1 with this, X2 with this, X3, S4. Okay.
Sir,
And
S1, S2, S3, 4 are carrier or they are modulating signal? S1?
yes, they are the baseband signals.
Okay, right.
Okay. So you transmit X1, X2, X3, X4. Then after time t or 2t, whatever the symbol time is, you transmit then X5, X6, X7, X and X8. Okay. And you just keep repeating. The advantage here is you use more signals to transmit, and you can transmit more information. You can transmit information in less time. Like here, it was 5 milliseconds, but using these four signals, you take 5 by 4 milliseconds. If all of them have the time period t, or basically, if you change the information after time t, you will transmit the same 100 bits in this much time. Okay, roughly. Okay, we'll come to that calculation again. Okay, it's not that simple. Okay, now the question comes. Yeah.
Wait, interrupt. Here, this is back baseband modulated signal that before transmission we need to modulate. This is some
Yes,
high frequency signal. So,
yes, we upconvert them and transmit them. Yes, of course that is
yes,
there.
you're
Of course
talking
that is
like all S1, S2, S3, S4 are
these
transmitted. This is
all
pulses.
four are baseband signals. Okay, when
Okay, now,
you upconvert them and transmit. Okay, what happens? So
okay.
if you see, you might have seen this, then that if this is your baseband signal, sorry, this is not the baseband signal. If this is your baseband signal, okay, minus f to f, minus f1 to f1, okay, when you upconvert to fc, okay, then it becomes fc minus f1 to fc plus f1, right? So in this case, if there are 4 carriers, S1, S2, S3, S4, how it will look like is, this is baseband signal, and you might have like this, okay, some frequency F1, F2, F3, and F4. When you upconvert them, then it becomes like this, fc minus, sorry, yeah, it will be F1 minus F1, fc minus F2, fc plus F3, fc plus F4. Or it can be, need not to be like this. It could be like this, F1, F2, F3, F4. Okay, then it will be, when you convert, it will be like this, Fc plus F1. Normally the signal transmission doesn't happen like this, but just for the visualization, I'm explaining that this is how the conversion happens. Okay, and these are your 4 signals at 4 different frequencies. Now you are able to visualize this. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's go back. Now, if you pick any arbitrary signal, okay, to transmit, the problem is at the receiver end, if you are not able to separate them, okay, then you can't decode the information. Why do you need to separate them? Because when you transmit, they will add up, right? So when you transmit the signals, because you are transmitting at the same time over the air. So if transmitting over the air means, if the current time is 4:56 em, so this is 4:56 plus time t. In this time you transmitted. So this was your first signal, this was your second signal, this was your third signal, and this was your fourth signal. S1, S2, S3, and S4. Okay, all you transmitted. So your final signal will look like this, something like this, from 0 to t. This you upconvert, okay, but this you upconvert. So in time domain it will look very different, but in frequency it will look something like this. Okay, this is the time domain visualization. This is the frequency domain visualization.
Sir, I have one more thing.
Okay.
This message is like that message can be anything, right? This S1, S2, S3, those can be anything. Those are practical. This
No,
separability
S1, S2,
condition we
S3,
observe on.
S1, S2, S3, S4 is not the message. This is the baseband signal. X1, X2, X3, X4 are the message.
Oh,
So these are the messages X1, X2, X3, X4. Then after modulation, this S1, S2, S3, S4 will be there, right, sir?
Yes. You use this information to modulate S1, S2, S3, S4, this baseband signal. Okay. Then in the time
Sir,
it
one
will
more
look like, yes,
Uh,
please.
so, see, we are transmitting this X1, X2 after modulation, right, sir?
Yeah.
But at the receiver, we have both the options that how to retrieve that before modulation or after demodulation.
We'll come to that. Okay, you do exactly the reverse. Okay, so what happened here? You had this information. Let's write down. You had x1, x2, x3 and x4. Okay, you modulated S1, S2, S3, S4. Okay, then you up convert. Okay, then let's say SU. Okay, then you transmit. Okay, at the receiver, you receive the signal. Okay, as let's say dash, you down convert. This is up convert. This is down convert. What do you say? Down convert. Okay, then you will get something like S1 dash, S2 dash, S3 dash, S4 dash. You won't exactly get S1, S2, S3 dash because this is, you had some S. Your signal will look like this. Okay, now from this signal you will have to get S1, S1, S2, S3, S4. Right? Basically here. You can only get S1, S2, S3, S4 when they are orthogonal. Otherwise, you can't separate them. Right? Is this clear? That when S1, S2, S3, S4, when they are orthogonal, when you pick S1, S2, S3, 4 in such a way that all four are orthogonal to each other, then only at the receiver end you will be able to separate them. Is it clear?
The last statement, can you repeat, sir?
So when you pick S1, S2, S3, S4 in such a way that all four are orthogonal to each other, then only at the receiver you can separate them. So basically, what do? You receive this signal. From this signal, you need to get back this, all four, these four. Okay, from this signal. Now from this signal, you can get this S1, S2, S3, S4 only when all four are orthogonal. Otherwise, how do you separate them?
Okay, sir. Sir, one very basic question. Sir, when we have like this time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing,
Yes.
so in TDM, it's like at a particular time there's only one signal which is being sent for a particular duration. In FDM, at a time we will send many signals with different frequencies. So just want to know one thing. So with different frequencies means if you just scroll up, that multicolor sinusoids that we have. Yeah, just not mathematically, but just I'm just asking, won't these overlap in the sense their amplitudes tend to get added or subtracted?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens, and that's when you need to separate them, and that's when you need to pick. I think this started hanging. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So let's
So
say
even though
you.
they're orthogonal, that the example which
I
you
will
took
just.
initially, they're even though they are orthogonal, but they will overlap, no? Even if they are orthogonal.
Of course, they will overlap, but you can separate them. Okay, what I'm saying is, sorry. There is one signal like this. Oh. Sorry. There is one signal like this. There is another signal like this. Okay, S1, S2. Okay, when you transmit them, they will add up. Okay, it will be, I mean, in the MATLAB you can do it. When you add them, how it will be. I will just draw them here and then we can add. this will be like this. Then it will go down somewhere. It will become 0 here. Then this magnitude is I don't know how exactly it will look like, but I think it will be something like this. Or yes, at this point, or this period, it will be something like this. So it will be something like this. Okay, so when you add many such signals, it will be like this, something like this. Okay, you can't recognize by looking at the time domain signal. Okay, but the thing is, if these two are orthogonal to each other, okay, from this signal you can get back these two. Okay, no matter how many signals you add, if they are orthogonal to each other, you can still get back.
Sir, one more thing to just to ask her. So how do we physically see a orthogonal signal? Like, what is the physical meaning of an ortho signal? Mathematically, we know that that over a time period, the product is going to be 0, sir. What is the physical meaning of the two signals being orthogonal means, sir? I mean, like we are saying, cos f1t, cos f2 are going to be orthogonal if the integration over one time period or infinite time period is going to be 0, sir. So
that's how you visualize them. Like this is how you visualize them.
do you mean like one part, like if we consider S1 as a reference signal, so the all other signals which are going to be perpendicular to it in one time period, they're going to be like one full cycle is getting completed, certain thing like that, sir?
Yes, over the time, these signals are orthogonal. If these two, if I draw one more,
I got this signal diagram per se. I got it, sir. So this is also the physically like it means that in one particular cycle or a half cycle, other signals are going to complete the complete cycles. That means only that thing, sir. It is just like they are going to be harmonics of each other. That's it, sir.
Need not to be. What if it is some other signal? What if it is a rectangular signal or something else? I mean, if it is a sine or cos, we can clearly visualize. But what if it is something else? What if I draw one signal like this? Okay, and what if I draw another signal like this? These two are also orthogonal, right? If you multiply them, you get 0. This is made of like if you want to construct such signals, you may have to do this Fourier series to get some signal like this. If you want to get this signal, you will have to do some other Fourier series. You add up multiple sine and cos with different magnitude to get something like this. But these two are also orthogonal, right?
So how is this orthogonal?
Because when this has some magnitude, this is 0.
Okay,
so when you multiply this,
okay, I got it. Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay, you're saying these two mutually they are orthogonal. Okay.
Yes. So since sine and cos are easy to visualize, okay, so you can say that okay, these are harmonics to each other, right? But
Right,
it can be any signal.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Now, okay. Now let's go back to OFDM.
Sir, and just one thing, this concept of orthogonality, it is related to this. I mean, this term perpendicular, no? I mean, it's
Exactly,
not
they are
here.
perpendicular.
Sorry.
Yes, they are perpendicular.
So just a small deviation. When we consider these electromagnetic waves, so we have the electric field and magnetic field. So there we say that if electric field is varying about like one particular axis, maybe it's like x. I mean about a plane. If the propagation, so if that is xy, and then if magnetic field is yz, so there they are perpendicular. So here it is not like that.
No,
It is
that's a different thing. The electric field and magnetic field that you're talking, that you say that this is the propagation of the wave, okay? Then you say that this is my electric field, okay? And let's say this is E field. That's some H field I will draw. Let's say this H field, okay? So you say EH and the direction of the wave, all three are perpendicular. Okay, but there is something called frequency. Okay, this all those carriers that transmitting will have this property. Okay, but on top of this, at what frequency that signal is traveling? Okay, over time 0 to t, two signals S1 and S2, all of them will have this property E and H, and direction, all three will be orthogonal. That's something else. Okay, that's the property of this electromagnetic wave. Okay, but on top of that, these signals S1 and S2 over the time t, if they have different frequencies, okay, in such a way that they are orthogonal. Okay, that's different thing. That's not related to the electric field or magnetic field properties. That
So,
orthogonality
uh,
is not
so
here.
so the reason why, I mean, so why do we call it orthogonal when they're not actually perpendicular? Like perpendicular means, like in the electromagnetic wave case, we can visualize that perpendicular nature. But when it comes to this S1 and S2, when we call them orthogonal, it is actually not perpendicular, no? There's
I
nothing.
mean, yeah, that's correct. You don't really say that. Uh, it doesn't mean perpendicular. Yeah, you don't really say that. It need not to be that. So when you say there, you say one is on the x-axis, one is on the y-axis, right?
So the term orthogonality varies from uh, like application to application. Like when you take some vectors or some spaces, there orthogonal means it's different. There we
No,
refer to
no.
perpendicular.
The rule is same, that over a time, okay, the integration should be 0. So if you have two signals like this, if you have two signals, one is this and one is this, of course they are 0, right? If you use if this is S1, this is S2. So the basic rule remains the same, that if you integrate these two, it will be 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you, sir.
rules remains the same. Okay. Now coming back to OFDM. Now let's say when I pick the base signal, this S1, over time 0 to t. Okay. What, let's say I want to have 10 signals. Okay. 10 baseband signals. I have picked one already. How do I pick the remaining 9? In such a way that all of them are orthogonal. Why orthogonal? Because that's when you can separate them at the receiver. So that's the must-have condition. So how do I pick 9 more signals so that all 10 are orthogonal? So this S1, I picked one S1 with frequency f. Now you tell me what are the remaining signals.
Is 2F?
Okay, let's say I pick S2, S2F. How about S3?
4F? Oh, just guessing.
Okay, 4F, S4,
8, 8F.
8F. Okay, S5, 16, like this. Okay, or any other solution to this? Any other solution to this? What if I pick S2, S2F, S3, S3F?
That is also orthogonal. 3F, 4F, 5F.
Why they are orthogonal? Because the time period I have picked is T.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so okay, let me draw it for visualization. So S1 we know it's like this. So T by 2, T by 4, T by 4, T. This was your S2. Okay. Your S3 was S3 will be,
It will be like 3 cycles in that time period, sir.
yes. So I'm just thinking how to. So one cycle will be something like this. Yes, something like this. Yeah. So this will still be orthogonal. This S2 and S3. I mean, it's not clear with when you write it. Okay, but they are orthogonal over the time t. They may not be orthogonal over time t by 2 or some other time. Okay, but they are orthogonal over time t. This S2 and S3. Okay, so okay, this is one solution. This is another solution. So I take S1 to S10 as 10f.
Sir,
Hmm.
just one example for not being orthogonal over T, just for clarity.
Okay, so let's say you pick this. Okay, or you pick anything else. Let's say another is this. Now this S1, this is S2. These two are not orthogonal, right? Over time t. Over time t, they are not orthogonal, right?
Okay.
This is clear, right? Or if you pick something like this, they are not orthogonal. Or if you pick something like, let's say something like this, they are not orthogonal, right?
Okay.
Hmm. So this
Sir,
is for visualization. Yeah, tell me.
in FDM and OFDM, what is the basic difference? Is that just like the orthogonality, rest all remains the same? Like if that is the case,
We will come to that. Okay, we'll
I
come to
mean,
that.
like in OFDM, we talk of orthogonality as a specific in the definition itself, sir. But in FDM, we just talks about the different frequencies. So are they not orthogonal in FDM concept, sir?
No, first see where do you use FDM. Okay, what exactly the definition of FDM? FDM and OFDM are two different things. Okay. FDM is frequency division multiplexing.
Yes, sir.
OFDM is orthogonal frequency division multiplexes. Multiplexing, okay. Frequency division multiplexing.
Sir, I think he's asking like, okay, in OFDM, we consider it to be orthogonal, only then we can recover at the receiver end. So even in FDM, we want to recover. So there also, it has to be orthogonal, no, sir? Or how using FDM, how are they reconstructing at the receiver? I think that is what he meant. Even I had this doubt.
No, OFDM is a technology that we use. Okay. FDM is like you say, I don't know, FDM we don't use. I mean, I don't know how, I mean, I think FDM means something else. It not just mean it means frequency multiplexing, but FDM is not something we use. OFDM is something, it's the technology we use. And maybe you might be right that FDM we cannot use it because the signals are not orthogonal. Until unless they are not orthogonal, we can't use them.
Like say TDM, TDMA, CDMA, and FDMA. They're the basic techniques which allows the like a single channel to be used for the multiple sort of a thing, sir.
Yes, correct.
So in this case, I was just having a doubt with respect to OFDM, like if like FDM doesn't have anything related to OFDM, something like that. Nevertheless, we can continue the class.
No, I mean, I think
Maybe sir, like if you finish
This-
your the OFDM, we can have it FDM sort of a thing for distinction.
Yeah, sure. FDM, I think these are like kind of different schemes where like CDM, like there is a clear idea that I have that where you multiply with orthogonal sequences to provide the orthogonality, okay, across the code. This is the code level orthogonality. OFDM, where you provide the orthogonality across the frequencies, okay, where one carrier is orthogonal to another one, okay. FDM, I think this is kind of a scheme where I don't see FDM being used somewhere for transmission. I think there is much more in OFDM. Okay, so we'll discuss it next time. Maybe I will come up with some more information. Okay, what is the exact definition of FDM? And I think the OFDM is a subset of FDM.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so coming back to this, so now there are two ways. There are two different ways you have picked the signals. Is there anything else that we know apart from these two, where the signals are orthogonal between 0 to t? This is the condition.
So any integral multiple of
Yeah.
basic either S1, whatever we take.
Yes. I think that's the one. Okay, so since this is in this case, I mean this also can be used. Okay, but for a given bandwidth, okay, when you have limited bandwidth, this is the right way to pick the subcarriers. Okay, I mean this is the optimized way to pick the subcarriers over a given bandwidth. Okay, what exactly I mean is, let's say you have 10 meg, let's say you have 1 megahertz bandwidth. Okay, from here to here. Okay, now you need to pick. Now you need to decide. Okay, you want to transmit the information, and you have given this bandwidth 1 megahertz. Okay, now you pick a subcarrier S1. Okay, with let's say 100 kilohertz. Okay, now you decide that how many subcarriers you can pick in this bandwidth. Let's say I say minus 500 kilohertz to 500 kilohertz. This is 1 megahertz. Okay, one signal that you picked was at 100. Now either you pick 100, 200, 400, okay, minus 100, minus 200, minus 400. Do you pick like this? Are these orthogonal to this?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So minus 100 is orthogonal to 100.
No. Okay, minus 100, 100 not. 100, 200 likewise. Also.
So these are not orthogonal to this.
Yes, yes.
Right. So if you pick like this, how many subcarriers you have? 3, 100, 200, and 400. Or if you pick like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. If you use this, you have 5, right? 5 subcarriers like this. Or let me draw it like this. I think this discussion will go long, or we better have another class to complete this. What do you say?
Yes, sir. Another class. I have meeting.
Okay, so okay, we have 7 minutes. So maybe what I want you guys to do is, okay, you write piece of MATLAB code, okay, where you show this orthogonality. What exactly you do? You take any signal. You pick time period. You pick a time t, okay, and you pick number of signals that you want to generate, n, okay, and let's say you pick 100, 10, 5, okay. T you pick something, some realistic, let's say 5 milliseconds, 1 microseconds, something like this, okay. You fix these two, okay, and you generate multiple signals, sine or cos or whatever, okay. In MATLAB you do this, and then you prove that they are orthogonal over time t. And you also pick some other signal. Let's say you pick two signals, S1 and S2, with some frequency F1 and F2, and you show that they are not orthogonal over some time 0 to t. Okay, this exercise you do in MATLAB. Can you do
what
this?
n? The n you've written?
N is the number of signals, S1, S2, S3 to S100. Okay, so one exercise is you pick some 100, 10, and 5. This is variable, and you show that all are orthogonal over time t. Okay. Second is you pick two signals, F1, F2 with some, S1 and S2 with some frequency F1 and F2, and you show that over time 0 to t, they are not orthogonal. Okay, can you do this? You also plot them, and you plot when you take two signals. So third, maybe you can do, you take S1, S2 with F1 and F2. You plot them. You first plot them separately. They will look like this. Okay. Then you plot the add and plot S1 and plus S2. In one case, they are orthogonal. Okay. In one case, you pick F1 and F2 in such a way that they are not orthogonal. Okay. And you see how it looks like, the final signal. In this case also, when you add all of them, how the signal will look like. Okay. Can you do this? It's easy.
So can you just scroll down? I didn't note down. Oh, I think to the left.
Sir, when you take 100, 10, 5 like that n, so we have to show that every signal in that is orthogonal to every other 99 signals. Like
Correct.
okay.
So instead of 100, you can just pick 10. You put a for loop and you say that, okay, all of them are orthogonal.
Sir, and some previous example where you took that from minus 500 kilohertz to 500 kilohertz. So, what was that range, sir? Actually, it was some bandwidth,
What was the?
like minus 500 to 500 kilohertz.
Yes.
So, what was that range actually? Because you took S1 as some
100.
100 kilohertz.
Yes.
So, what is this 1 megahertz?
This was the bandwidth.
Okay. And you said minus 100, minus 200, they are not orthogonal to this.
How is minus 100, a signal with minus 100 frequency is orthogonal to a signal with 100 frequency, 100 kilohertz? They are not, right? A signal with minus 100 frequency, minus 100 hertz frequency is not orthogonal to a signal with 100 hertz frequency.
Sir, again, I mean, how do we check that? Like in the time domain only we have to check, or How?
No, you just in the MATLAB you can do this. You take frequency f1 and f2. One is 100 and one is minus 100. You multiply them. You will get to know.
Oh, okay.
You can plot them and visualize. There also you will get to know. Or you multiply them and check. You will get to know. You don't do integration in MATLAB. You do summation because you have points. Okay. So you take good enough sampling rate. Okay, sampling rate. So you don't take just 2 samples. You take let's say maybe 100 samples over time t. Okay, you're able to visualize. Then you multiply these 100 samples with these 100 samples, and then you see whether they are orthogonal or not. And the multiplication also you can plot. That's where you will get to know. Just by looking at the output, you will get to know whether they are orthogonal or not.
Okay.
Okay, is it clear to everyone now?
Sir, you were telling like frequency 100 hertz and signal with frequency minus 100 hertz, right? Sir?
Hmm.
So they must be complex signals, no, sir? Definitely. Because a real signal will have both. If it has component at 100,
Exactly. You are true. But I'm taking 2 real signals with 100 and minus 100 frequency. So this is just some hypothetical case for transmission, just for the understanding purpose, some hypothetical case. Of course, you are right. For the real signal, both will be there.
yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, of course, you are right. This is just for the understanding purpose and just for the visualization. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, then let's meet some other time. Okay.
Sir, can you share this whatever you wrote on this whiteboard?
Okay, I will share this. I will share this over Classroom.
Yes,
Okay.
this and recording.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
share both. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.